Marcus Whitaker presents The Shire on the Automaton. Majestic.
Beautiful.
I feel like I'm there.
Why do I have my headphones on for this?
There's old Bilby Baggins over there.
Starting to get the hang of this thing.
There's Harry Potter.
Just watch out, world. I'm about to learn a new instrument.
Mastered it.
Rip it! Rip it! Get fancy at the end. Hey everybody, I'm Dane Holland, and if you could see the tears running down my face.
I'm Austin Shazam Pfeiffer, a humorous or malicious deception.
I'm Marcus, the space western cowboy. I'm Electric Man.
I'm Austin Tiny Zend, and Ham Sosle Hooch.
I was thinking the same thing about all of us. I'm going to have to look at what that means later. Please don't tell me now. Welcome to Nerd Through the Grapevine, the podcast where four best friends gather weekly to talk about our favorite parts of past, present, and future nerd culture.
You know, I've been stuck on the television a whole lot recently, watching something that my wife likes to watch. It's not something that I choose to watch. It's something that I have been forced to watch. And you know, I've gotten a little into it. But I've got to thinking while watching this, the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. I'm sorry for anybody who's listening to that and wanted to avoid it completely. But in my brain, I thought to myself, this has got to be some kind of hoax. Like, this can't be real life, that, you know, Johnny Depp lost all these jobs due to just, you know, accusations, and then he's having to go through all of this to prove his innocence in this situation. They're both actors, so how can you take it all seriously? And then I got to kind of second guessing myself a little bit, like, no, this is some kind of a misconception more so than a hoax. Because if you look up the actual definition to hoax, much like my intro, you're going to find something that's done intentionally to deceive, that has a malicious intent. Oftentimes, too, it can be used in more of a humorous fashion, but it's oftentimes more malicious in its intent as to what it is. Mm-hmm. So the misconception of hoax, it can go either way. You know, it could be something for a ha-ha, or it could be something that's actually done to intentionally, you know, slander.
Or it's meant for a ha-ha, turns into a oops, didn't mean for it to go that far kind of thing.
And, you know, I kind of looked up a few hoaxes, you know, just because I was trying to think, you know, what kind of stuff would be relatable to this, you know, in a way that's going to tie that in, you know, that's going to make you realize, you know, hoaxes can be both things. And also, there are things that are out there that are hoaxes that are actual real things that I find out about. So I'm going to let you know about that here in just a second.
And for those of you nervous, don't worry. It's nerd hoaxes.
Absolutely. Just like this one, and I figured that Marcus and Tiny would both dig this just because of the granny magic we had spoken about previously. A hoax that is widely known about, that at one point was actually followed by a lot of people as real time. Like this is real life. This is really happening. They're following this. Psychic surgeons.
Gosh. Wait, what?
I've heard of this, yes.
Psychic surgeons, a pseudoscientific medical fraud, which practitioners would use illusions to perform surgery with their bare hands using sleight of hand, fake blood, or animal parts to convince the patient that they had removed a diseased part from inside of them through the course of this psychic surgery.
It's kind of like placeboing somebody.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they're using this animal blood to, like, while they're making this incision, you know, they're, of course, you know, grating the skin a little bit so the person's feeling something on their skin, but they also see the blood. And then they through a sleight of hand, they're able to get in like these little bits of like animal parts and stuff that they've got along with them as well, to make it look like through that blood also here's coming this this deformation from inside of your body. Like,
Magicians have gone too far.
yeah.
And I just imagine being at a magic show and them calling me up on stage and being like, okay, I'm going to slightly sedate you. First off, I'd be very confused and scared, but I'm on stage, so I got to go with it. And then all of a sudden it looks like I'm being operated on. That would be a good show for the people up front, I think.
Well, see, when
Sounds
you
like a good
first
supervillain.
Yeah,
when
it
you
really
first
does.
mentioned psychic surgery, I was thinking the other kind, because there's one, basically you hypnotize the person and then you make these motions with your hands, kind of like you're operating one of them surgery robots.
Yeah.
And so spiritually you're doing the surgery in their body as they lay there.
See, I was
No,
thinking,
no,
I was thinking more like that, like a faith healing type
Yeah.
thing.
Well,
'Cause that's also been done like traditionally through a lot of cultures too.
Well,
so.
that within itself, the psychic surgeries did have a small amount of success due to the faith healing factor, which is something that, if you can perceive that this is happening in your body, that it can actually happen. You can will it to happen within your body. There's another one in here too that I thought was pretty funny, because 1994 was the first year that you had your first internet scam to happen.
Is
And
that back when like internet came through the mail?
that's
Got my AOL CD.
it's you've got mail, but it's in an envelope, an actual envelope, and a dude at your front door. You've got mail.
Get out of here, Jimmy! I told you not to be around here.
This one was pretty good because this was the first internet hoax. It was called the Microsoft acquisition hoax, and it was a 1994 press release that suggested that the
What was that?
What did it do?
suggested
Oh,
it
okay.
suggested that the information technology company known as Microsoft acquired the Roman Catholic Church.
I mean, that seems legit to me.
It's one of the, and it kind of seems like that. God, that'd be such a Southern thing, because there's a Southern phrase. It's like, God, they got more money than God.
In Microsoft's case, yes.
So it would be one of those things like, well, Shirley, did they really buy the Vatican? Is that what happened? Did they purchase the Roman? They purchased? They own the whole thing? Did they really got more money than God? But it was literally just a bloated or unreliable desktop software thing that they had done, that just to actually load up as a screensaver. Almost so when people's computers were to go into screensaver mode, they would pop up this document, and it would be like, how did this get here? So it almost, and for people in those days too, like, they didn't know this kind of stuff could happen. They didn't know, like, nowadays we know what pop-ups are, and we know
what hackers.
yeah. So
Clickbait, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So, but they it was an instant pop-up that would pop up in like a screensaver form. So
I feel like that if they did it now, Microsoft would come out with like Pope Simulator, like 2022.
I'm pretty sure I saw that on Steam.
wave
does exist.
wave to the crowd, wave to the crowd, wave to the crowd again. He's about to max out. Waves to the crowd, and he just spews money over the people.
You start off
You get
as
to ride
a,
in the Pope mobile.
oh yes, shake baby hands.
Yeah.
If you start off as a cardinal and you're just the first of the game is you're just waiting for the smoke to come out of the stacks.
The other one that I had found too, just based off of our last podcast where we had a little bit of a Beatles reference in our discussion during the expensive items in history. Paul is dead.
Oh yeah.
The Beatles hoax.
Yep.
That was an urban legend and conspiracy theory alleging that English musician Paul McCartney had passed away. So, and people had believed for a long time that from the early days of the Beatles that it was a stand-in that looked just like Paul McCartney.
Really?
Yes, somebody to stand in and play and act like Paul, but Paul has actually been dead for a long time.
Imagine
Yeah.
being Paul McCartney and everyone around you is trying to convince you that you're not alive.
And the reason that people,
real thing.
the reason people thought this were they took different clues from different Beatles songs.
Oh gosh.
And they put it together, and this was in the late 60s. So you know that people are out there just doing LSD, getting off in their head on these theories, listening to the beat. Hey, wait a minute. Wait, you hear what they said? No, like 2 songs ago and in that specific sentence I just heard. They connect together, man. They're talking about Paul's dead, man.
If you put the first letter in every 3 lines of the White Album, it says Paul is dead.
Well, there's something about him walking barefoot across the road there too on Abbey Road.
Yes.
The picture for Abbey Road.
Because the conspiracy theory behind this was that Paul actually died in a car crash, and that was one of the reasons why he was barefoot.
How does that correlate?
Yeah,
You'd have to look it up. I don't know.
I mean, so
but, like,
every time somebody gets hit by a car, now they have to walk barefoot across the street.
much
Is
like
that some
with
kind of
any
law?
conspiracy, there are the, quote, air quote, evidence, that they present. And so you'd have to just go find that yourself.
Yeah,
I can't.
'cause he's
But I do
shoeless.
know that it's inspired some fiction too, because I actually have a book, and I wish I'd have brought it because I don't know the author's name, but it's called Paul is Undead. And somehow
great.
he's a zombie
It's
or
about
something.
zombie.
Yeah, I don't know. I've actually never read it. I have it. I was given, somebody gave it to me.
I'm just glad that Kanye West gave Paul McCartney his career.
Oh my
That
god.
was a fantastic moment in history.
What did he even do on that song? Like
I didn't hear the song. I don't know.
the song that Paul McCartney's got credit for is got Rihanna and Kanye. I'm about 4-5 seconds from Wiley.
I've heard this song.
I know 3 more days till Friday. Or whatever the song says, and Paul McCartney's in the song. I don't know what he does though. He's
None of
Paul
them-
freaking McCartney. He just gets song credit, I guess, because he walks through the music
Well,
video.
he
wrote
could have
it.
wrote it, or he could have played. What does he play? Bass.
Yes,
He's
he does.
everything.
He plays everything.
Maybe he's
technically.
just
Yeah.
an angel in the song because he's not alive.
This
Yeah, he's unalive.
This hoax actually gave McCartney fuel, and he used it for a resurgence on a live album called Paul is Live.
Oh, that's fantastic. Good job, Paul.
So
Way to
and
capitalize.
and that was for the 1993 album. So it was for the album Paul is Live instead of Paul is Dead, because he's like, I'm not dead. I've been here the
At
whole
least I
time.
don't think so.
I sound like John Lennon because Shazam doesn't know how to do a Paul McCartney voice.
We'll see. Now he has to write another album and call it Paul is Dead, but it's only released posthumously.
Ooh.
It would be like Paul is actually dead.
Paul,
No, for real.
Yeah, for reals.
oh, what if
The
he
letters
does?
keep getting smaller.
What
and
if he
smaller.
does
Not a
have a?
joke.
What if he does have one of those, like in the barrel, waiting for his death, so he can be like,
Probably.
"Here you go."
I mean, there's no doubt that he's
wouldn't
got
he?
songs that are unreleased.
Oh,
So, I
absolutely.
mean,
And 20 years ago, something happened that we all thought didn't happen because of how much it was ramped up and geared up to be this end of world scenario. But it turned out that the day came and went and nothing happened. And we've gone through this a couple times in our lives. We went through that with 2012, with the Mayan calendar and everything else. But in more recorded history and stuff that was, supposed to happen and didn't happen, and why didn't it happen? Y2K. Does everybody remember how freaked out everyone was by Y2K?
I think
Yeah,
we
I do.
unplugged all, the electronics in the house. I know the computer was unplugged, just in case something was going to happen.
Just in case
But-
your computers set off the signal to launch all the
Yeah,
nukes.
or turned into a transformer and killed the family. I don't know.
There was
I don't know
there
what's
was no time. Everybody was like doomsday prepping. That's when the first signs of the doomsday preppers started showing up.
but
around.
what was it supposed to be?
It was going to be where the algorithms for the computer systems did not have the capabilities at that point to switch over from 1999 to the year 2000. They only had 1900 and the last 2 digits, which are all that changed. They weren't programmed to make it into 2000. And
That seems so silly
it
now,
seems
though.
insignificant, but that would cause flight log delays. That would cause transportation failures. That would cause signals within
Shipments and stuff.
within algorithms that keep things running inside nuclear power plants to malfunction. And if that was to happen, then therefore you'd have meltdowns. You could have in an article that I read from Time Magazine, which I usually pull for the mother source, and I was like, you know what, Time Magazine, they're going to have a little spice to it, because I was wondering who was behind it, because there were so many numerous people behind it that they have no credit to anyone given for
behind
solving
Y2K. Oh, the solving
the
of it.
solving of Y2K.
Okay, gotcha.
Because they had said it could be anything as insignificant as getting a date wrong for a meeting, or anything as massive as a power plant in Tennessee melting down.
See, I remember them talking about like planes are going to fall out of the sky.
Yeah.
They canceled like pretty much all flights on that particular day.
Now, there was one man in particular, I believe that...
My antenna on the TV didn't work.
I believe that he did it on purpose.
Ruined my evening.
No.
He was I think his name was Diego or something like that. I can't remember how to properly pronounce his name, and I'm not going to look it up. But he had actually booked a flight specifically on that day, specifically on the time change, just so he would be able to adhere to that schedule and show faith that what people had done that had teamed along with him had accomplished.
Oh, okay.
So he was so confident that it had worked that he's like, I'm going to show you guys. So, but that's the only like slight accreditation that you've got from this, because so many people had to work on it from so many different software companies just to get it fixed that it blanketed the entire world for a fix, as opposed to just thinking about it like an isolated incident that Y2K only happened in America. That's not the case. Worldwide infrastructure would have been affected by that, because if it would have happened, everybody would have had those same setbacks, and it got to everybody and fixed it all except for one power plant. That was a nuclear power plant in, I believe, Japan. And through sources that were close enough to that specific meltdown spot, they were able to actually talk it out and, walk them through the process of how they can recode this, and they were able to save it from meltdown.
That's awesome.
So Y2K, even though we all thought that it was just a hoax because nothing ever came of it, Y2K was not a hoax at all. It was a prevented disaster thanks to coders.
I still find it hard to believe.
I do too.
Because I don't understand.
It was just a
technology
number.
well enough.
I mean,
I could be wrong.
Well, think about this.
I typed 2000 in the colored iMac at school many, many times, and it never heard anything.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the way that they had their dates and everything figured out as far as the way they would keep up with it.
I understand what you're saying, but I was not thinking that I was at the risk of unaliving myself by typing 2000 into the green iMac, because we all know that the green ones were the best.
Well, yeah, for sure.
Well, neither did Paul by walking barefoot across the road while he was getting a promo shot taken for an album that might have made it to the cover. He wasn't thinking that, well, maybe later on down the road, people will think that I'm dead because I'm barefoot in this picture.
Well, think about if the clock on the stove gets an hour off, I'm late to work, I'm fired, I have no more income, I no longer have a place to live, I don't have a car. All of a sudden, all this disaster happened because one number was off.
Well, and that's
just me.
Well, that's what's so hard to believe for me, is because it's like we're talking about computers here,
right?
And we're afraid they can't count higher to one more higher.
Yeah, I guess so.
And that just seems absurd. I just can't wrap my brain around it.
Because it was the first, and also what makes me go like, how in the world did it cause all this? Like is computers weren't made like for in the early 1900s. Like it's a thing to where like they knew they were going to be around past 2000. So, but I don't know. I don't understand coding well enough to know like, okay, how far ahead do you have to plan for that first digit in the year section to be anything other than a 1? Like, are they all set to just 1 and that's just how it is?
Yeah.
Because if that happens, everything gets screwed up.
And it was
I'm just looking forward to Y3K.
It was
hell yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
It was
It's going to be so lit.
It was a risk of global shutdown, basically, just because they hadn't antiquated that particular algorithm into the sequence.
So are you saying that was COVID before COVID? Because that did cause a world shutdown.
It was digital COVID.
Pretty much.
COVID.
It would have been almost like a big virus that blanketed the entire world's computer systems. I think that the fact that it came and went and nothing happened, I think it's good that there are no like heroes from it. Otherwise, they would have made a big press release about it, and you could have never had this, idea of like, well, is it a hoax? Mm-hmm. Is this something that actually happened?
It's almost better that it fades into the background as, oh, that was just this crazy thing that almost happened, because no one will be
It
afraid.
like dates itself.
Yeah,
too.
it really does.
Yeah,
for sure.
Because thinking about it, now we've got computers in our hands. Mm-hmm. We would have never thought about that back in the year 2000 or right before.
I've had computers in my mouth.
You do?
I've had computers in my mouth.
That's weird.
Fit my phone in there.
It's very strange.
the only thing that I can really vividly remember about the year 2000 or anything going along around that was that Conan O'Brien had a television show back in those days, and he was always singing about, in the year 2000, me, Mr. T, I will have a kid named Little T, or Mr. Lowercase T. In the year 2000.
Deep cut.
Yeah,
Sorry.
very. I was like,
If you want to know why my brain remembers stuff like that, that's why we got this podcast. So now you can too.
I just want to call attention to one more thing. What Marcus said, Y2K dated itself. Marcus, I believe that's a pun.
Well, it was not an intentional.
Because
it still
it
counts.
literally,
still
it was a
counts.
date.
Does intent not matter when it comes to puns?
No.
Not in the eyes of the grape law, son.
That's why people say pun not intended or pun intended.
no pun intended.
No.
Well,
pun
then
intended.
that's my default state. No pun intended.
Doesn't count. Anyway,
You must have accidentally not selected that on your character profile before you stepped into the lobby.
yeah, there's a little box that you
right.
got to check.
Marcus, no pun intended, Whitaker. That's your new nickname. Guys, I'm going to need us to hit the lights because Tiny brought a tiny little bitty projector that we get to use for our segment.
Yeah, it fits in your pocket.
I
does.
can't see it.
Grapevine After Dark.
Austin, you may have to move or shift.
I think that looks good.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh yeah, it looks good from
Yeah.
our side. Yeah, it's not too bad. So what I've
Sit on
done
my lap.
in the Photoshops, I've made a tier list. Many of you that have watched YouTube have seen tier lists. There's a basic layout of it to where you have colored boxes on the left side, and they have different rankings, starting from the highest on the top to the lowest on the bottom. And I've made one that says Grape God as normally the S tier, which is the highest tier, then A, B, C, and for the last tier, HSFG, which is... Austin, you're going to need your microphone for this one, even though you're on the floor.
Hot, stinking, fecal garbage.
Yes. And what
Yes.
could we be ranking with all these things? Well, we're taking Star Wars characters from the time of the Empire, which was during the original trilogy series, and Rogue One, because Tiny reminded me, hey, Rogue One happened during this time too. And I was like, oh shit, it did. That's perfect, because it gives us even more characters to work with. But I wanted to even narrow it down more than just characters during that time, because there's so many cool Jedi and Sith and droids and all these other characters that I was like, you know what? I'm going to leave out the Force users and the droids, because later on we get to do this again, and I think it'll be better to lead up to those kind of conversations later. I want to start with just the non-Force users and non-droids.
And we're going to be ranking them.
We're going to be ranking them, and there's going to be some conversation because we're not going to agree on a lot of these, I'm
Correct.
sure. And I want us to try to not... It's really hard to take away your knowledge beyond just the movies, just the things you've seen on screen, the things they've done on screen, because a lot of these characters have appeared in like the Clone Wars, the animated series, which I've seen all of and no one else in here has, so I didn't want to pull characters from those because that's not fair for us to have that conversation. We've all seen the live action original trilogy and Rogue One, so like we're going to be able to have that conversation, but I want us to try to just stay within the realm of that screen time and try not to go beyond of what we know, after the fact or whatever, which is going to be hard. We'll have to
just
call
movies.
each other on it. Yeah, just the movie. So whenever we're doing these rankings, if we don't agree with each other and somebody makes a point where it's like, well, that didn't happen on screen, make sure to bring it up.
Okay.
Because we're trying to stay within that limited range. And once this is over with on the Discord and on our Twitter and stuff like that, I'll post this little chart so that way everybody can see from their end what this looks like. But we're going to do our best to just describe it. The first character on this list from the original trilogy / Rogue One. Actually, it's all original trilogy until I get to Rogue One. I'll let you know when we get there. Admiral Akbar. He yells it's a trap.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. But
But he's
Well,
A tier.
you have to
Is
also
he?
take into account what his profession was, because it might not have necessarily been shown.
Right.
But as admiral of the fleet, he was
Yeah.
he was commanding the various ships in the rebel fleet. Also, he's got really cool eyes, so that bumps him up at least one level.
He is like a fish man. So I think that would take him automatically from HSFG to C, right?
I was thinking B.
Yeah.
I'm gonna think B as well, because I can't give Akbar an A ranking, because
No.
I'm thinking of all these other characters that could be A's, and Akbar just doesn't fit that category for me.
His name starts with an A.
All right, there it is. He's an A. You're right. I didn't even think of that.
But
Admiral
hold
Akbar.
on.
No, he has a point.
Plus, how many lives did he save?
If he had never said what he said,
Exactly, his iconic line.
if he had never said it's a trap, they
Right.
would have just flown into the trap.
Oh, that's true.
He saved lots of lives. He's an A rank at least.
Is he? Here, I'll tell you what. We'll put him in between A and B.
Perfect.
This chart's going to be ridiculous. And now
B.5.
I'm even happier.
He's a B.5.
The top part of his head is A, but the
Yes.
lower part of his brain is a B.
This is a total B.
I can completely
Perfect.
agree with that.
Oh man, I should have known this is going to go this way, and I'm so happy it is. The next character is oh shit. I gotta look at I've got the list in my phone, and I've just got the pictures on the thing. Wedge Antilles, a rebel pilot and New Republic starfighter pilot. He just kind of, he's known, and that's why I picked the characters I did, because people know the name Wedge, like as a pilot, but on screen, like seeing that character on screen, did it do enough for them to be a highly ranked Star Wars character, like just from the film?
Okay, so we're ranking them based on like character and things that just because like we were talking about Admiral Akbar and
Right.
like he's probably doing a lot of stuff off screen during the movie,
Right.
but you said off screen, so I don't know.
It's just on screen. Wedge. I think
on screen. Then, yeah.
I don't think he's bad. He doesn't do anything negative enough for me to throw him in HSFG.
No.
But I don't think
No.
he's even like a B to
Nah.
me.
Well,
No,
Like,
he's a C grade to me.
I
Yeah.
can't really separate their profession from what they do on screen, because I feel like that
Right.
has to play some part.
Yeah.
Wasn't he like a squadron leader?
yeah, either that or just a really talented pilot. But I'm trying to think of like, I don't even remember. A lot of this is me like remembering too. Like if I don't remember something they did significantly.
Oh,
Then,
I mean, he did not do anything significant.
Yeah, I at least remember Akbar yelling.
Yeah.
So like Wedge, while a cool character, I think C.
yeah.
Right?
I'm good with
yeah.
that.
Is that okay?
Yep.
Austin,
I think
how do
so.
you feel about that?
I already said that.
You did say that.
You
You're the
did
one
say
who
that.
chose it. So, and his name starts with a C. So moving on to the next character is Lando Calrissian, which we get a lot more screen time of and a lot more character of.
Lando Calrissian made me cry. He automatically gets God class.
No. He betrayed Luke and
Right.
Party.
Oh, it's original trilogy.
Yeah.
It is.
Ah.
It is. He made you cry later.
Pinnacle.
Original trilogy.
Lando in the original.
Original trilogy Lando. Like even if he did a bad thing, did he do something to make his character great? Like
He also piloted the Millennium Falcon whenever it was in
in the original.
It was in the Empire. No, it was in Return of the Jedi that he piloted the Millennium Falcon along with the guy with the blue face and the open mouth, like a Canadian character off of South Park.
I feel like you made all that
I
up.
don't remember that
No.
character. Like I'm pretty sure he did fly in the original trilogy, but with Lando, awesome character, been really cool throughout a lot of things. But I think can we go between Grape God and A? Would we be okay with that?
Yeah.
Would we be
Yeah,
okay
I'm
with the
okay
between?
with 8.5.
Because
I think now I would be comfortable if you don't want to go between
yeah, okay,
to just go ahead and put Akbar on B
okay,
and then make Lando the A.
make Lando A.
And now we've got a good example of
These
what
are
a C
setting-
character
Okay.
is, what a
Okay.
B character
Okay.
is,
Setting
and what
good
an A
standards.
character is.
Yeah.
Okay,
All
I'm
right.
good with that.
and think of like all the characters throughout this whole trilogy of what might be considered, the best of the best, and Lando falls right below that category. Is that what we're saying?
I think so, yeah, because he's still
Okay.
kind of a secondary
All right,
character
yeah.
for me.
No, you're right. You're right. Next,
Oh,
I don't know if y'all can see this
Chewbacca.
this
That's an easy
picture of Chewbacca or not, but let me blow that up for you. That's real good. Everybody will get to see that later. I found one of the worst action figures of Chewbacca I could find to
The
represent
eyes
his
are
head.
captivating.
The eyes have stolen part of me, and that one's a pretty obvious
Oh, yeah.
grape god,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. He's
we don't
my cousin.
there's not even a whole lot of conversation to have about Chewbacca that wouldn't land him in the very top
Oh, absolutely.
of that
Absolutely.
section. He's a big, hairy, powerful
Dog.
dog.
He's not a dog.
He's a good
Wookiee.
boy. He's a good boy.
He's a Wookiee.
Next, we have Biggs Darklighter. Now, I have. Now, a lot of people know of Biggs outside of the movie, just because, whenever we got to see the names of all these characters outside of the movie, it was really cool. Plus, the name Biggs Darklighter. Are you kidding me? That's awesome. I don't think we knew his last name in the movie, though.
No.
Pretty sure we didn't hear Darklighter in it, because
No.
there would be all kinds of theories that he was actually a Sith and all these kinds of other stuff that Star Wars fans love to do. But he was, I believe, the first character that we saw Luke interact with as like someone he knew other than his family,
Yep.
Yeah.
which
he
was big for me.
He was Luke's best friend growing up.
Yes, if in that moment, to me, it gave Luke so much more of a character just by meeting this other pilot.
Yeah.
Because him just being like not really knowing anyone, like it didn't seem like to me, Luke didn't have a whole lot of character behind him. And I think Biggs actually added some to him.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't think Biggs would land really low, but I also don't think it would land really high.
I mean,
Luke's just like a spoiled brat until the second movie.
Exactly.
Well, even in the second movie, a lot.
I really want to bring the books into this because I've read the original trilogy, and I can't.
Nope.
The rules have been spoken.
The rules have spoken. In my personal opinion, I'm falling between B and C just because I know that one factor about him. Well, A, he's a cool looking pilot.
I'm fine with him being a B.
If I'm a B and B,
Yeah.
are you fine with B?
Was
He
he
would
the
always
one
been a B
that
in my
used
mind.
to shoot the Womp Rats with
Yes,
Luke?
Yes.
with Luke, right?
Now,
I think. Well,
that's,
Well, it's just
Yeah.
I think from my memory, it's just a thing that Luke's friends are going to the academy or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And he wants to go, but yet they need him on the farm, and he doesn't want to do his chores. He wants to go hang out with his friends in the Space Academy.
Right.
So he's essential to understanding Luke's
Yeah.
very basic character.
If you disagree with this, Biggs starts with a B. Next is
I can't see that.
it's okay. I'll blow it up. You won't even know who it is anyway.
Don't explode it.
It's just something he said that makes him important.
Salacious Crumb.
No, that's not him.
Oh, okay.
that's the Salacious Crumb's the little.
Yes, I didn't even put him
I
on the
know
list
that.
because I didn't want to. This is Jan Dodona. Yeah, everyone knows Jan Dodona, don't they?
Oh,
He's the
yeah.
guy through the little glass table planner.
Is
battle
it
planner.
Jan or Jan?
It might be Jan.
It's probably Jan
It's-
since it's Star
It's
Warsian.
probably Jan. So he was a rebel general, and he is the one who plans the attack on the first Death Star, and he's the first person in Star Wars history to He's the first person in Star Wars history to utter the phrase, "May the Force be with you."
What?
Yes. Ever. No one ever said it before he said it. Just this guy.
Well, that bumps him up to great God.
I know.
Just because of that.
Janyon Dodona. It's the phrase. It's the thing. And he's
That's
not even a
crazy.
Jedi. Yeah, but he believes in the Jedi. And is that grape god for everyone
is.
else? Like, what is?
I feel like with him introducing that phrase
Yes.
into canon the way
Yes.
that he did, then he most assuredly is a grape god.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Grape god, the one that no one knew before we talked about it. Next is Ewoks, and so just so you guys see the picture that I brought up for Ewoks, it's a brown Furby, and the only thing I like about two things I like about the Ewoks. The Ewoks, they look like Austin's dog, Millie,
Yep.
and they worship C-3PO as a god, which I really enjoy because I find C-3PO to be a god tier character.
Hot stinking fecal garbage.
Yep.
Hot stinking fecal
I
garbage?
second.
Is it that
I
bad?
second that.
Are the Ewoks?
Hot stinking
That
fecal
kind of
garbage.
sounds like a Furby.
I mean,
it really does.
they are fuzzy and adorable.
They are.
And it hurts me to agree with Austin, but I
Right.
was going to say that too.
Okay.
Fecal garbage.
I think that the time that they spent in the movie
Yes.
and what happened at the end of Return of the Jedi.
Yes.
The way that you've got these, like, you can't destroy them, you can't do anything. Here's a log! You didn't see a log coming from a freaking Shizu, did you? You didn't. Nobody's going to question this story because they love Star Wars at this point, and people don't hate what they love.
You may have laser guns, but we have slingshots.
I mean, yeah,
Even the stormtroopers'
teddy
armor.
bears in space Vietnam.
The stormtroopers' armor couldn't even prevent a slingshot blow from hurting them. That's how useless the armor is. Hot stinking fecal garbage.
Yeah. I think they did much worse for the Star Wars franchise than good.
Yeah.
Well, they even had 2 spin-off movies that were based around the same time as the time frame we're talking about. And if that is any indication on where their ranking should be, they should be below hot stinking fecal garbage.
Well, and just imagine, what if it had been like the Wookiee home planet
Oh, yeah. And it would
instead
be
of the
Wookiees
Ewoks?
instead?
That would have been
That would
cool.
have been so much better. Yeah.
You need to take the Ewok movie and an Ewok Battle of Endor, and you need to go ahead and just label them lower than hot stinking fecal garbage.
As long as
know.
the Ewok home or the Wookiee home planet wasn't like it was in the Star Wars Christmas special.
Yeah, I was about to bring
as long as
that
it
up.
does not resemble that, that would have been cool.
Honestly,
Same time frame.
Those Ewok movies are better than that movie. Not by a big margin.
So actually, okay, so for the Ewok, we'll put them between hot stinking fecal garbage and off the map. There.
Yay!
Yay. Can we drop like a little toilet underneath them?
Yes, grape diarrhea. Next is Grand Moff Tarkin. So he was a Grand Moff in the Empire. And Tarkin, for me, always seemed like a skeleton man. So he had that scary going for him. And he could kind of boss Vader around.
And he blew up Alderaan.
Yeah.
So that's God tier power levels.
is.
But at the same time, even though he's very powerful,
Yes.
what about, I mean, are we judging based on that, or are we judging, because I'm seeing Lando in the A tier, and it doesn't make me want to put Tarkin above Lando.
Right, yeah, I don't either. I don't
So
think he
I
deserves
think
to be
an
above
A tier.
Lando.
He
I think A
doesn't.
tier.
I mean,
I
I
think-
think they're pretty equal footing.
Solid
Yeah.
A tier.
Because even if though he's maybe equal in rank
Right.
to Vader in the rules of the Empire, we
Right.
all know that Darth Vader is a God tier, and you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
he
Yeah,
can't be on the
yeah,
same
absolutely.
tier. He can't be on the
And-
same tier as
And
Darth
you
Vader.
know,
Right.
Luke blew it up the first time.
Alderaan?
No,
I'm
the
pretty sure he
the
didn't.
Death Star.
Oh, okay.
Luke blew up the Death Star the first time. Lando blew it up the second time, piloting the Millennium Falcon.
But that's he did.
Yeah,
Oh,
dang,
that's
he
right.
might
Dang.
need to be in the God.
I think we might have to shift him now that we've revisited.
I think so.
What does everyone think? Since he blew up a freaking Death Star?
Yeah,
Sure.
Okay.
Because if you remember, there's
in the
that-
Millennium Falcon too.
in the Millennium Falcon.
He's also got the stash.
You got to also think about, his signature. Yeah, that's him flying out of the explosion from.
And he's representing us in the South. So with that yeehaw.
I'm good with this.
Oh, we'll
Excellent.
get to the yeehaws
well,
now.
let's save the revisits until we're done so
Yes,
we
yes,
can get
yes.
through them all.
We'll go back and do a
Sorry,
quickie.
I apologize.
That's okay.
You should. Greedo. And in this picture of Greedo, I've got him pointing a gun at his own head. I don't know why. It's a cosplayer. So Greedo caused a lot of controversy with Han.
Han shot first.
He did.
Also, I would say he's B tier because his appearance helped establish the character of Han.
Yeah,
It did. Yeah.
So-
Without him shooting him, we wouldn't have gotten an idea.
and it
of
was just
what
such an
Han's really
iconic
like.
scene.
It is. Yeah, I think Greedo holds a lot more epicness in the whole world of Star Wars just because of that, but definitely not above a B.
His name
No.
has an R in it.
B is, huh?
I thought it was a W.
No, he's not Italian.
Man, I probably made some kind of joke and then you.
So, no, it's Greedo, not Guido.
It's not Guido. No, sir. No, it's not Guido.
I didn't know that was Grapevine canon.
Next, Jabba the Hutt. And for an image of Jabba the Hutt, I have a very wide picture of Shrek's face.
That's close.
I hate.
Small scale, it looks like him.
It really does. I do not like Jabba the Hutt. I just don't like. He's just a big nasty that. Like, yeah, he's a crime lord, sure, whatever. But he just sits there and like he slaves up Leia.
Yes, he does.
And he
gives us that. Yep, yeah, hit it.
There we go.
I mean,
and for me, I don't like looking at him. And
that's what made him so good, though. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't. I love Jabba.
I can't throw Jabba in hot stinking fecal garbage.
Hold on.
Okay.
Jabba's an A tier.
Jabba's a grape god.
He is either A or a GG because
I think he's an A.
Not only because of his actions, Boba Fett ended up in the Sarlacc pit. Which we end up seeing more stuff later about that.
Yes.
So he set up a lot of things later
Frozen
on
in
in the
carbonite
series.
Han.
Frozen Han and carbonite.
Yeah.
He's the leader of the Hut. Like
Not only that,
hate
but
this.
Darth Vader oversaw Han Solo being frozen in carbonite, and he had close enough relations with Darth Vader that he was able to purchase Han Solo from Darth Vader. So he's got connections with the Dark Lord of the Sith. I mean, he's got to be up there at least A or God tier.
I hate putting him in GG because
I don't think so. I think A.
A? Okay.
I think A.
A?
I'm good with either of those.
Okay.
A
A,
8.5.
because
But
that
he's
makes me
definitely
feel
near
a
the top.
lot
I mean,
better.
Grape God. That we've got to reserve that for the best
The
characters.
best. Yeah, exactly. Which
Yeah, that's why
so far.
that's why Janion's there.
I never did get to say I don't necessarily
Yeah.
agree with that, but
Okay.
it don't matter.
Well,
I got outvoted.
See,
so-
I feel GGs need to be unanimous. I think if three of us can't talk the fourth, if there is 3v1, I don't think that they deserve to be a GG. Would
Yeah.
you agree? Because
At least give him a
Well, at this
0.5.
point, we would have no GGs.
what? You wouldn't agree that Chewie is a GG?
No.
Tiny.
But
Do you think
we can
any
come back to
non-Force
that.
user is a GG?
Yes.
Okay. We'll go back. Next is Luke's parents. I've got images of them as skeletons, and I think
That's how they had the most time.
that's how we remember them. I think they were, but they did care about him.
I think B.
yeah, B half.
I don't know. They were kind of abusive.
They
No, I mean Uncle Owen was harsh, but
right, but he does live on a harsh place. Like
Right.
he needs help.
he does. And they watched him. They didn't have to take him in when they did.
I think they're either B or
I think they're
C.
C.
C.5 maybe.
I'm not saying
Yeah.
they're turd level, but they're definitely a solid C.
We'll go C.5. Leia, God tier for me.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
she, first thing on the scene, this freaking badass, smuggler, whatever Han
Princess.
was, and
Oh.
then you've got Luke. It's just a freaking, amazing thing. And then Leia's just like, boys, like I'm taking over this whole saving me thing from
Yeah.
you because you're not competent enough to do
Yeah,
it.
but
And I
she
thought that was
also
awesome.
she also kisses her brother.
She does.
You wouldn't mark off points for Jamie or Cersei because of it. That added to their character
you
story. That added to their character story.
It
You
added
would've- you
nothing
would've-
to Leia's story.
It
Plus,
did.
That
It
she
gave us a
kissed her
lot.
brother.
It gave us a lot to talk about over the years.
I mean, she said basically, Han, I would rather do intimate things with my brother than do them with you.
She didn't know at that
Only
time.
in the
Big
first
slap
movie.
in the face.
She didn't know.
But then when their lips made contact, she
She should have felt the brotherness.
She did.
In the Force,
At
And
the lip
yeah,
contact.
as soon as she kissed Luke, she had a very sharp pain in the back of her neck, and she realized that was the Force saying no to incest.
And we didn't realize she was a Force user until later on. The original trilogy, we did not have any indications she was a Force user. So that's why I put her on this list.
Yes.
Good
Next,
call. Good call.
She ends up in the GGs because it's Leia. And next, we have the players of Space Jizz.
That's what it's called.
That's
yeah.
what
That
it's
is
called.
exactly what
It's
it's
that's
called.
the name. That is the Star Wars canon name for this
It's
type of
still
music,
funny.
and it's the Max Rebo band. It consists of Max Rebo, Droopy McCool. Oh, what a name! And
God.
Cy Snoodles. These are the members of the original Max Rebo band.
Hot stinking fecal garbage.
Oh,
No,
Marcus.
I say C because that music, the one song that they play is so iconic, and when you hear it, you think Star Wars. I say there's C.
It should have never even been in the movie.
Or fecal garbage 0.5.
I vote 0.5.
0.5.
Yeah.
We'll go fecal garbage 0.5. Marcus.
It's a tragedy.
At least they're dipping their toes in the hot
Hold
single
on.
figure
So hold on.
garbage. Yeah,
I would
what's
put
up?
the Ewoks over them.
No.
Would you?
Absolutely.
Would you?
Absolutely.
Oh, controversy.
They're at least important to the story.
True.
You're gonna put space
Oh,
teddy
no.
bears in
These
Vietnam
people
over
are not
jizz?
even in the original cut.
But hold on. Let me.
They're not even in the original cut. It was added
No,
after the fact.
they were. No, they
They
were.
played jizz.
The
that
digital-
automatically gives them a half rank.
The digital versions of them came later. There were animatronic versions
Yep.
of them in the originals.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay. Well, I'm wrong.
we'll go half.
I'm good.
But
Well, how
here-
about me
No,
anyway?
no, here.
I'm not gonna get mad.
Let's move the Ewoks up
Gonna
just to
get even.
regular HSFG.
HS, yeah.
There.
Okay,
Or
yeah.
are we going?
Or down like 0.25. No.
Okay.
If
no.
we're gonna put them up there, then
Yeah.
I say we put
They
them
can
up
have
there.
they can have full fecal
All
garbage.
right. We'll do that. We at least gave him another point. Han Solo,
God tier.
come on. Like it's not even. We don't even really have to have that conversation, right?
I say he's an A.
No way.
What?
He's
really?
a solid A because God tier is like the most epic
Yeah.
of all time.
Yeah.
I don't agree that he's God tier, and neither do I agree that Leia's God tier.
He was epic enough. They're both epic enough to appear like in like
I mean,
the
if you
later
can
parts of the
convince me-
trilogy, right?
Let's get this last character, or well, there's not just
from,
one more.
This is Boba Fett.
A.
Yeah,
I would have said God tier.
I think A as well because we're just going by the
no,
original
you
movies.
said Boba, so no, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, Boba
solid
Fett.
A.
The original movies, he just shows up to look cool,
Yep.
and then he falls
True.
into a Sarlacc pit to supposedly die.
Mm-hmm.
Which originally he died, but then later on they're like, "Holy shit, he makes a lot of money, so we need to bring him back." So
He was in EU
I think
for a long time, being alive after that.
was he?
But that
Yeah.
doesn't come into account.
Yeah, I'm just
Right.
saying.
Well, I don't know. I just naturally wanted to give him an A because of his status nowadays.
Right.
Well,
But
even,
compared to the if we're just going main first trilogy, now he'd probably
I'd
be a
say he's
B.
a solid A because like he helped progress the story in Empire. Like as in a New
Yeah, well,
Hope,
and
was
he
just
does
kinda
get
there.
Han. Okay, yeah, he's
Yeah.
a pretty villainous guy.
Yeah.
I'll put him up
Solid
there with
A.
Jabba. Yeah, okay,
Okay.
that's fine.
Cool. We are on to. We're running out of time, so we may have to just slam through. Oh no, we've got one left. It is Ponda Baba and Dr. Cornelius Evazan.
Oh,
Or
gosh.
Evazan. Or
I know exactly who these guys are.
Evazan. Yes, these are the ones that Obi-Wan cuts off the freaking hand of Ponda Baba, and they're like kind of like poking at Luke, like trying to start
no
some shit with-
reason.
for no reason. He just walks in and they do that, but I don't know if they would be HSFG because they give us more of Obi-Wan. Like they're crucial to kind of showing me what Obi-Wan's capable of early on, of just chopping off somebody's arm because they were poking fun at a kid.
But not only that, I hate them. I hate them so much that
Yeah.
I want them to be in hot,
I
stinking
hate
fecal
them.
garbage.
Yeah, I think a
course.
C. I think a strong C.
I hate
C,
Jabba.
yeah, totally
I hate
C.
Jabba
Because
okay.
the only thing that I've got bringing to mind with them is just, he says he doesn't like you. And, oh, I'm sorry. I don't like you either.
What did I do?
My hand.
yeah, like he doesn't even have a full scene like Greedo does. You know,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But hey, we got to see Obi-Wan cut off the arm of a random character pretty early on, which is pretty cool.
A
Next,
C-lister.
we are into what happens leading up to the very beginning moments of New Hope, which is Rogue One, which is, for many Star Wars fans, arguably one of the best films made of the entire title. Jyn Erso, she's fine for me. Like, I don't know. I don't get a lot. It's more about all the characters together, I think, for me from this movie. But I think
Yeah.
I'm going B-ish
Yeah.
for her because she's like, yes, she's going against the grain. She's going, against the Empire. But character-wise, a little bit too much of a not character, so that way the audience can relate to her a whole lot instead of giving her a lot of different
Quirks.
spikes of personality traits to where they would maybe remove her from the average
Well,
audience.
I feel
remember-
like they were trying to make her little group its own character in and of itself.
right.
And she was just a facet of that, so she
Right.
wasn't really meant to stand out. It was more about her little group.
Yeah, and she was the us in that group because she didn't have all the weird cool quirks as everybody else.
Yeah.
But I don't know. B though,
I'm
because
good with
she
that.
was crucial to what had happened to be able to get.
Well, she's a
those
main character of
plans.
that movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. If we could scoot those down to hot stinking fecal garbage like I want, I would put her at C.
You'll
but
put
it's
her at
fine.
C?
It's fine. No, go ahead.
Okay.
We don't have enough
to
time.
we don't have to have halvesies. At the
No, it's
very
okay.
end, we'll go back to the halvesies and we'll put them in an actual place.
Okay.
Cassian, what was his last name? Andor?
Andor.
Cassian Andor was the rebel captain of that little crew. And
See,
yeah, I almost don't even care as much for him as her.
he was less of a character than she was.
Yeah.
Yeah, he also
He had his moment where he like killed those people
Yeah.
for the rebel to show the dark side of the rebels and everything.
Right.
But that's literally the only thing I remember.
that was pretty much it. So C for you guys for
Definitely
him.
C.
yeah.
He was just one to go against Jin, honestly. Like they were just the two to bat heads against
Yeah.
each other. Next is Orson Krennic.
See.
Yeah, I'm gonna go C
Yeah.
as well. He actually gets kind of Tarkin takes over like his role
Oh, yeah.
with the Death Star, and Tarkin's like, "No, that's mine now. I'm the leader of this, not you," which I thought was fantastic. So Krennic just gets to look like a little wuss man, and it was so good because he was so tough and big, and then he ends up getting put in his place by a superior officer, which is fantastic. So
Digital
good for
version of that
Yes.
superior officer.
Yeah, exactly. Which looked great, but still obviously digital. Next is Chirrut Imwe and Baze Malbus. I put them together because they
Makes
have
sense.
a bromance that is so powerful and
I'd
wonderful.
say together, they're god tier.
I wouldn't.
They go down a little when you separate the two, but
Right.
together, I mean,
I
he's
can't.
he's blind and he just whoops so much ass.
And he doesn't. I don't think he's force sensitive, but he has so much belief in the force.
I think he's slightly force sensitive, not like full blown, but like he
Right.
can kind of sort of feel it.
Gotcha.
Because he's kind of forced his force sensitivity.
Yeah.
Right.
Like it's not like
He's
something that
trained
comes
into it.
natural to him. He's trying at every moment of every bit of his day to be in connection to something that just doesn't want to connect to him. And that's why he mantras, you know, with I'm one with the force
Right.
is one with me, you know. And,
They are the most memorable part of that movie character wise, but I don't think I put him in GG, right? Because they're
I
like
wouldn't.
I
would.
can't put him in GG.
Strong
I wouldn't
A.
even put him in A.
Strong A. Wouldn't even put him in A.
I would put him in B, but
I wouldn't put
y'all
him
could
in-
outvote me on that. so.
Right. So it's 3 A's or lower. Sorry, Tony.
That's okay.
The votes. So we'll go if we've got somebody wanting them in GG and then a strong A, and then I'm cool between A and B, so we'll just throw them in A for now.
I mean that averages out to an A.
Jin's dad, Galen Erso, he's the one who put the freaking fault in the Death Star for Luke to be able to blow it up later on.
he's a hot, stinky, fecal garbage.
No,
I would say he's a C
no.
because he was just used as an explanation as
Right.
to why
Yeah.
one shot can destroy the
Yeah.
Death Star.
Sure.
So he's a
Yeah,
C.
I definitely wouldn't put him all the way in the very bottom because he defected from them for one, went to live on a farm to try to just live a peaceful life, and then when they went and snatched him up to make him work more on the Death Star, he was like, well, I'm going to be sneaky. So
Plus, it's Mads.
it is Mads Mikkelsen, exactly. So
You can't.
yeah.
C is fine
That's
for me.
almost enough to put him in B
Yeah, he
for
just
me.
didn't have much to do. You know.
No.
Just much to do.
They're very crucial to the story, but not much to do. But then again, if we do that, then I mean, our boy up here who said "May the Force be with you," I don't know. But
Yeah,
that's,
yeah,
I don't
I
know
feel like
about
we
that.
overrated him.
Yeah, I think we did.
How
too.
dare you?
But that's okay.
no,
This
he
was-
deserves what he
Yeah.
got.
This isn't just definitive.
Yeah.
2 more characters: Bodhi Rook, which not as memorable. His death was sad.
Who is it?
He was a member of the crew with Chirrut and Cassian
Oh, okay,
and,
from Rogue
those
One.
guys.
Gotcha.
Yeah. He was a sweet character, but I don't hate him enough to put him
Fecal.
in HSFG. Like I don't actively dislike his existence.
Can you blow him up so I
right?
can see what he looks
yeah,
like?
Yeah. He's this guy.
Totally, totally
the,
faithful.
Like you hate his character. Like you.
I don't
you
remember him at all. Period.
But oh really? You don't
Yep.
remember him getting blown up? But in the back of the thing, because he's the one that connects the thing to be able to make the communication happen.
So he was an
like
extension cord.
from his ship.
He was an extension cord.
Yes.
Fecal garbage.
Really?
Yeah. I've never looked at an extension cord.
What
and
do you
went,
guys
"This is
think?
the greatest
It's not
thing
just
ever."
a- it's
I
not
don't
just
really
a-
remember him either.
Okay.
I don't remember.
No one remembers him?
Nope.
Not really.
All right. Well, I guess if you're going to be unrememberable in Star Wars or not memorable in Star Wars, then I guess you can be HSFG. And then lastly, one of my favorite character from Rogue One is Saw Gerrera, which to me is the Resistance's version of Darth Vader,
Yep.
but
Yeah.
without forces, because he even has the breathing similar to him. Well, I say to me, I mean, that's obviously what they were trying to make him out to be. He's an extremist for the Resistance, so he's actually like going against a lot of things most of the Resistance wants to do, but he's willing to go to the dark places.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
He's willing to do the dirty work that nobody else will.
Yes.
And he does it very well and very brutally.
Yeah.
So in my mind, he's a GG all the way.
Like
I would
he-
say A.
Like I'm
Or
pounding
B.
my chest and everything. GG, bro. Plus
Austin,
his
thoughts?
last name starts with a G.
Both of my legs are asleep from sitting on the floor.
It was the last one, so you're good.
Oh.
What do you think?
Honestly, I would rank him high. His presence in that movie actually stood out really heavy to me.
Yes.
The comparisons with Darth Vader actually were really heavy with me watching it as well. Also, as like he seemed vicious, he seemed cutthroat. He seemed like he might have been the more blade of the Resistance kind of thing. I think that he was A or GG.
Okay.
GG.
I would go A. Marcus, do you remember much of him?
No, yeah, I mean, I definitely like it. Like you said, Austin. I
Yeah.
feel his presence in that movie for sure. But just to me, he's just not a GG.
Right.
I would just say A.
I can feel
Right.
his presence from the little picture that we're moving around on the screen right now.
Can we all be happy with an in between?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I can
Is
do
that
the
okay?
in between.
Can we do an in between
I
where he's
agree.
a grape A god? Okay.
Yeah.
It's not definitive, but it's what we've decided, and this completes this little list for us. And we've got a few halvesies because we just couldn't pick one. But I think we could probably move them to wherever we feel like. But it's funnier to have halvesies on there. So thank you for joining us in this Steer Wars, which I thought was really funny. Steer Wars. I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
It's funny, right?
Makes me
Yeah.
think of steak.
Okay. Oh, it does. Now I'm hungry.
It's punny.
There we go. You enjoy it, Marcus.
So, I mean, we basically have the Western to thank for Star Wars. People have been making Western films for over 50, I don't know how many years now, a lot. More than I've been alive.
So many.
Yeah, so I'm not going to put an exact number on it
Round about
because I just don't know.
100 years.
But the genre has gone through so many phases, and it's still here. Like, it's still here with us today. But I kind of just wanted to talk about that genre's influence on. I mean, obviously, we just talked about Star Wars for 30 straight minutes.
Yeah.
And that is technically a Western. It's
Right.
technically a space Western.
Yeah.
We see a lot of neo-Westerns in movies today, and just straight up sci-fi Westerns. Because I actually watched a show on Amazon called Outer Range, and I have to shout out my friend Zach Slimothy Thickens
Oh, what a name.
for suggesting the show to me. Josh Brolin is the lead, and he's a kind of a conservationist in the modern world, right? So he's got his ranch, and he still rides the horses around. They still range the cattle and all this. He's got a lot of land, but then his neighbor, who owns all the land that neighbors his ranch, wants his west pasture. I don't want to give too many of the sci-fi elements away.
Okay.
Because if people want to watch it,
Yeah.
I think it's just better to kind of go in completely blind to that. But there is a very heavy sci-fi element to the show. Josh Brolin just nails it, obviously. There's all the acting's great. I was also excited to see the guy that plays Ben, Wendy's brother in Ozark, who had a killer performance on that show, is in this show, and he also does really well. I don't know, really good actors, really cool synopsis, really cool idea. But it just got me thinking about just some of the tropes that they use and how cool it was to see them using these like Western tropes, but just in a modern kind of sci-fi way.
Yeah.
What was the show again? Cowboys and Aliens? Cowboys versus Aliens?
Yeah. That is a sci-fi western.
No, I mean I didn't hear what you said.
Outer Range.
Oh, okay, I was close.
Outer Range is what it's called. There's 8 episodes out right now on Amazon. Hopefully it gets another season. I think it was really, really cool.
Does it have a Westworld vibe kind of to it?
It's much different.
Okay.
Much different.
Okay. Because in my head I'm seeing that, but
no. It's much more of a family story.
Okay.
So think about people who like really live that life. Like even one of his sons is like this. Well, so his name is Royal Abbott.
Okay.
And he runs the Abbott Ranch. And he was like this really awesome rodeo cowboy back in his day, and now his son is kind of like he's like in the ranks, and he's like trying to win, states and nationals. So that's a big part of their life. So they just really live, it's Wyoming, I believe, out in the wilderness. I don't know.
So it's actually Wyoming. Like this takes place in the States.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So it's kind of grounded in reality.
Yeah.
But then they, add that weird element of sci-fi on top of it all.
Yeah.
But it still manages to be like a character-driven kind of family drama.
Huh.
Yes. Perfect. That's what I was telling Kelsey, my girlfriend, who watched it with me, and I was just like, that's all you have to do. You just write awesome characters and write them somewhat logically, and then add that sci-fi element.
Yeah.
And boom, I'm a fan. You know, and they've managed to do that here. But also, I mean, like, I don't know. Like I said, I don't want to give too much away about the show.
No spoilies.
But we can talk about some of the other influences that the genre has. I mean, obviously, The Mandalorian is like massively, like down to some of the way they shoot the shots. And some particular examples I found in Outer Range were like a poker scene. Where like there's like high stakes, and they're betting each other like, well, if you put this down, I'll put my whole ranch down. All this stuff, and it's like getting really intense. But then they make sure, because they're doing these tropes and they're aware of these tropes, they're adding in these their spin on it.
Yeah.
There's a scene where Royal ends up in town and he gets out of his truck, and it's just kind of, you're seeing the shot from behind him, but kind of like from the roads, and all you see is his legs, and then the person he's standing in front
of.
Right. It's just like a classic Western. Even the music sounds cool.
Oh, yeah.
But, again, they put their own spin on it.
Those are some of my favorite parts of Mando. Like, I think the very first scene of season 2, possibly, when he was walking, like it sounds like his armor, like clinking as he's walking, sounds like spurs on the back of his feet, and the music is that fusion of like that Star Wars style music, but with a Western twang to it.
That's one of the things they really knocked out of the park with The Mandalorian. It was the music.
Yes.
They really knocked that.
That sets the whole scene.
You can't leave out Firefly.
I didn't.
Oh no, we'll
Firefly, but I just don't know as much about it. So you'd have to talk about kind of how it's a Western, what makes it a Western.
It makes me personally, I don't know if they were basing it on.
Well, it's one of the ones that came up in the list when I was looking. So
yeah, what was the war where we fought against the Indians?
French and Indian. There was
maybe I can't. Anyway, it doesn't matter because you had the brown coats versus everyone else, and the brown coats were kind of like the Native Americans in a way, and they'd go to a lot of deserty places. There's the way he wears his gun belt is really Western style, slung low on the hip, and he carries something that looks like a space, python. They hijack a train in one part.
Just like Mandalorian. They just recently did one too.
They visit a cat house. If you know what that is, congratulations. I'm not going into more details.
A lot of it wasn't like in your face, like this whole like having a ranch and having cows and all this stuff like that. But it's the tropes that are involved where you can go 1-to-1.
Yeah, because Outer Range,
but it wasn't. Yeah.
Outer Range would be something that's. I mean, in most shows that we watch, I mean, these writers are aware of these tropes.
Oh yeah,
and are actively utilizing them, but yet trying to sometimes subvert them or all that. But sometimes just like gunplay in itself. Like when you shoot a gun out of someone's hand.
Oh yeah,
that's a trope. Firing one-handed, or like the Mexican standoff kind of scene.
If you're looking at the Star Wars in an aspect like you look at a Western, the even just the lore of Western the way that they have their certain time frames that they base everything around. That could also involve samurai culture, which is a lot of the stuff that you kind of see in like the codes of honor and everything else that you have within the Jedi. So with them existing in that same universe, that was kind of our first introduction of samurai and cowboys being in the same scenario together was in space.
Well, there's actually a historical precedent for that. Well, let me just run through some of these subgenres because that'll give us more to talk about, I think.
Yeah.
Because there's a Canadian Western, there's cattle punk, which would be more of like cyber, kind of steampunk, cyberpunk, but with Western themes. Dawn of the Wild West is a subgenre. I'm not exactly sure what that is. New Old West, which would be like a neo-Western, which would be outer range. Samurai Cowboy, that's the one you were talking about. There's the Space Western, which is Star Wars. That's why Lando goes, yeehaw!
Oh, yeah.
Spaghetti Westerns, which more have to do with the soundtrack to the movies.
And eating spaghetti while watching.
And they were made in Italy. Weird West would be more of like, think cryptozoology. So you've got a Western story. So say it's a ranch, and like I find this
Sasquatch,
skeleton on my ranch. But then next thing you know,
aliens come.
Sure, and then all kinds of stuff. Yeah, Weird West. That would be more of that. So even though those are kind of sci-fi elements, but more occultish type
We're
flavors.
gonna write this movie.
Well, we totally should.
I mean, not right now, but
yeah,
we will.
Now. Are we good right now?
The samurai and cowboy times, that I love that a lot in the way that can blend together, because even historically speaking, if you're thinking like, early to mid 1800s being some of the biggest times for westward expansion and the times of the cowboys, you've also got to think in feudal Japan, that was when the ending era of the feudal Japan era was, and after that, they ended up making them get rid of all of their blades and put an end to the samurai lifestyle. Around the time of World War II, they actually collected all of these blades, and to ensure that they had no uprisings from that same classist style, because samurais were very respected, much like the Jedi were very respected. To be a samurai and to be a Jedi, it would have that same reverence to the tone of everything.
Well, the only difference between a Jedi and a samurai, you was born into the samurai caste. It wasn't something you could get into without being nobility.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Whereas Jedis can be trained, and they can be anybody.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So Firefly would be like more of a space western. Same thing for Mandalorian. That's more space western. What about Cowboy Bebop?
That is a
Space western.
Space spaghetti western.
I don't think it's spaghetti, but definitely space
probably
western.
influenced
It has
by
spaghetti.
still.
It has. Well, let's see. It's like spaghetti without the sauce.
So nude western.
It's a noodle western.
It's a noodle western.
Okay, so Westworld. Go ahead.
It don't really matter, but part of what classifies a spaghetti western is the time in which it was originally aired. It was typically during dinner time when you would be eating spaghetti if you was to have that.
And they would
Hence,
hire
spaghetti western.
Italian musicians to write the soundtracks, and that's where we get Ennio Morricone, who I think recently passed away, but he's a legend. I mean, he's done all that music you've heard is probably him.
Cool.
Yeah. Westworld is cattle punk.
Okay.
Because that's like the whole cyberpunk type thing going on, but
and you've got all these people that are your Western characters, and it turns out they're actually robots and stuff like
you
that.
have cyborg
Exactly.
cows.
Exactly. What would Jonah Hex be?
Jonah Hex, the more occult side of the Western, like the weird Western,
Yep. For
Okay,
sure.
cool. So I've never seen that one.
the Weird West. Yeah, I
It's
mean,
a comic originally, and then
But what makes it the weird? What kind of tropes?
basically just his connection to the occult and the dark side of
some
the
supernatural stuff.
Yeah, it's like
magic's going
it's
on
the
there.
same kind of Constantine side of DC Comics, where you're getting into the dark magic and the knowledge of the occult and the Ghost Rider and all that. Jonah Hex is in that same area.
Cool. I did not realize that,
but in the
at
West.
all.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's a cowboy Constantine.
Yeah, Cowboys and Aliens they just kind of wear it on the cover.
Yeah.
It's like this is just
It was Josh Brolin who actually played Jonah Hex and
correct.
Jonah Hex
Yeah, I
as
know.
well.
I liked how that
Josh
connected.
Jolin?
Yeah, but also Megan Fox was there. The movie itself, I'm sorry to say,
Yeah, I mean,
was
Good.
hot, stinking, fecal garbage. It was
look.
such a bad movie.
Look.
So bad.
The storyline of the movie was bad. But you got to admit the actiony parts were really cool. Kind of like I Frankenstein. Don't go in there watching for a story because you ain't going to find it. Just go in there for fun, shooty, bang, bang.
I love you. Hi, ho, shooty, bang, bang. Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
pretty much.
Back to the Future 3,
Yeah.
Wild Wild West.
Ha!
But I've heard that one.
That was a steampunk.
Yeah,
that was
yeah, kind of more
Cowboy
steampunk.
So good.
Because it was like a
Yeah, it had the whirly gears.
So it'd be,
on
I guess
everything.
it'd be cattle punk.
Yeah, definitely cattle punk. Because also you've got to think of like the main bad guy in his wheelchair being a motor-driven wheelchair powered by steam engine, and you got the giant spider he created. Oh, his name's in my head. Go to your whatever because I'm going to search for
I was
it.
just going to say Mad Max.
I thought it was
is
Cole.
also Dark Tower.
That doesn't fall into any category other than bullshit.
Well, what category does the book fall in? Though?
Yeah. Would it fall into that?
It is
'Cause he's a
definitely
gunslinger?
heavily Western.
But it's
I would
also kind of
almost-
multi-dimensional.
Yeah,
So kind of sci- but more fantasy, supernatural.
I would say like weird Western, because it's supernatural, but it's not. It's post-apocalyptic.
Okay.
It's hard to pin down. It kind of varies book to book.
His name was Dr. Lovelace.
Thank you, Austin.
Dr. Lovelace. I kept thinking Bloodbath McGrath because, but that was the.
That's a great name, too.
Wasn't that one of the bad guys in there?
General McGrath of the Butcher of New Liberty. Like that was one of the guys he was mainly talking to, and I kept hearing his voice in my head with it too.
I don't know how you do what you do.
Get in there.
You said Mad Max?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Furry Road or just the first one?
I mean, the whole franchise,
The
like
whole
all
franchise?
of them, kind of
I
just like
see
the whole genres.
dystopic, post-apocalyptic, steampunk kind of ish.
Yeah,
But the
But-
way that they've all had to revert backwards in time a little bit by the way they operate, it is like the Wild West, where it is martial law, and you're upholding your own this and that. I mean,
lawlessness, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, because I mean, there's other tropes that we haven't mentioned that are like Book of Eli, Priest, Logan, which is one of my favorites. So, so like, for example, Logan is a very neo Western because
Blew my
we're
mind.
basically in the part of the life cycle of the Western genre where it's kind of, we've already been like critical of it and we've already reimagined it, but like neo Westerns kind of look back to that romanticized version of like this American folklore and just kind of takes a more critical eye because that world's in rust and ruin now, because now neo-Westerns are told in cities where airports and stuff exist, giant highways. And so I don't know, it's just Logan talks about the comics that his daughter, in quotation marks, is reading, and he's like, yeah, it didn't happen like this. Like, it's a romanticized version of his life. And he's having to come to grips with this changing world. I think that's a big trope for like the neo-Western.
Well, and that's where the neo-Westerns are so heavily carried by the characters. Like you said, like these characters that you create are like based in Western style movies, but their surrounding is changing.
Right.
But their Western
they're trying
ways
to-
are they're trying to hold on to that culture.
And they're trying to keep up with modern times
Exactly.
and kind of lamenting some of the changes that the world has gone through.
Right. So
and that's Outer Range has a really cool way of like kind of showing you that because the Tillersons, which are his neighbors, the ones that want his west pasture, why they want his west pasture is because maybe they know something
okay.
that maybe even our main character doesn't even know.
There's alien
like
oil in them hills.
Well, like I'm saying, I don't want to give away the sci-fi elements because I think it's better to just go in blind.
Right.
But his neighbors, they're riding like really nice four-wheelers around their land and stuff.
Gotcha.
The Abbotts aren't. They're riding horses, and they still go to the rodeo every weekend.
Gotcha.
And so they're just, you've got your high tech like ranchers
I'm a high tech
of modern day, and they've got like the politics on their side. They know the county assessor, and so they're gonna basically steal that part of your land if I want it.
So, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, I was say it's cool that juxtaposition of the genre itself is the neighboring family.
Yeah,
like the Western, and then the more futuristic is literally his neighbor.
right.
And the genre itself, like that's what's going on, is these two kind of worlds are clashing against one another, but coexisting.
Right. Well, and it
that's
has those things
really
we were just
neat.
talking about, how the world's changing, despite the fact that, I mean, he's a conservationist. He wouldn't want to. I mean, he just doesn't see the world that way.
Right. Yeah.
But yet the world's changing around him.
It's interesting.
So I'm going to sum your entire topic up into
please.
like 1 to 2 sentences.
Oh, jeez.
You're gonna make me look like an idiot.
No. What I've just gleaned from everything that we talked about is every post-apocalyptic movie that I love is really a Western. And I thought I hated Westerns.
But you don't.
No.
Apparently I love
Or maybe
them.
you hate Westerns because of the more, like, the older ones, because they have this more idealized version.
Maybe.
And nowadays, we're kind of just, we don't romanticize it as much.
We play fast and loose.
We try to be a little bit more realistic with it,
Yeah, you can be fans of the genre, but not fans of much of the work in the
Sure,
genre.
right,
Yeah,
right,
because
right.
it's like,
Well, because,
you like the idea, but how it's been executed isn't exactly fitting kind of how you feel about it. But then you've got like the idea infiltrating another genre you do like, and that's when it starts to get to where
he literally just made half of the movies that I love Westerns. Yeah. Like I wouldn't have considered Priest a Western. And then you said that, and I'm like, well, okay. I thought it was like vampires.
Well, see, that's the thing. I think it's cool to realize that, and because a lot of actually Star Trek came up on a lot of the lists.
I Am Legend. Well, of course, Star Trek, because they're exploring the unknown.
Exactly.
It's like going out west. That one makes the most sense to me. But then you get Priest, where there's vampires.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? And then what? Is I Am Legend also a Western? Because at this rate, it might as well be.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to me like more of just like a straight zombie flick.
See what you've done.
He's got a dog best friend. So
I mean, all zombie movies are now Westerns too. Night of the Living Dead, things come to life and fight people.
Well, because I mean, think about some of the tropes from the classic kind of Western genre come from a time period of history where we wouldn't necessarily agree with some of the tropes nowadays. Like they're kind of outdated.
Oh, yeah.
And so they need to be updated. And I think that's probably why you like modern Westerns and space Westerns and things like that.
I like to call them Westerns now.
Westerns?
Well, that really
Sweaty. Sweaty Westerns.
That really flows off the tongue.
And thank you all for listening to this sweaty episode of Nerded Through the Grapevine. You can find us on iTunes and Spotify and Good Pods, which is my, I think, new favorite podcasting app. Like, it's awesome. We're on the top 20. We're moving our way up the charts, boys. We're top 20 of all indie society and culture podcasts, and we're in the top 50 of comedy right now. So
what do we get when we win?
Scooching our way.
That's when we get a sponsorship.
Yeah.
And then we're no longer indie.
Razors will send us all a razor.
They're sending me some stickers for the Good Pods so we can put it on stuff. So it'll be really cool. And wherever you can rate our show, you can actually rate it on Good Pods too, as well as iTunes. Please go just wherever you're at. If you already just listened to this, look and see where the star thing is and click 5 stars. It helps out a lot, and we're getting more every week, which is really exciting. We haven't got anything other than 5-star, which is very fantastic. One day it'll come, and I'll be very sad, but I'll get over it very quickly. And if you can leave a comment of why you like the show, do that. If you can leave a comment why you hate the show, do that along with the 5-star thing. So that way everybody wins.
And the funnier, the better.
The funnier, the better. We've got a real good one on there if you all want to go read our iTunes comments. It's wonderful. One's very heartfelt and one is very from the heart, let's say. And Teespring, go to Teespring. The link's in the description of the episode. You can go there and you can get t-shirts and fanny packs and coffee mugs and all kinds of neat stuff that have our logo slapped all over it. It's a lot of fun.
And if it turns out that your favorite bit of media, such as The Walking Dead, has been unearthed as actually being a Western and you're upset about it, get on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter and talk to us about it. Search @NerdGrapevine. You'll be able to find us on there, as well as our Patreon. If you wanted to get on Patreon and donate a little bit to the cause, you could get a shiny holographic Nerded Through the Grapevine sticker, be able to unlock future content that we haven't let the normal listeners listen to. You've paid for this. You're getting special stuff. It's going to be under @NerdGrapevine on the Patreon. And I know that can be confusing to people, and I just, whenever you're telling everybody, hey, I subscribe to the Patreon, they're going to be confused because it used to be something different, and that might cause them to have a little bit of...
Just so everyone is aware, I am a classically trained psychosurgeon. I'm also not a doctor, so don't come to me like that. Are you listening, FDA? I'll get in there and I'll make motions over your head, and I might even make some mouth sounds to make you feel like that I've just cured you of some horrible ailment.
Tiny's curing colon polyps by waving his hand on your butt and just doing this with his mouth.
That is not allowed in my practice. I I can't give away all my techniques. But if you want to set an appointment, hit us up on Discord.
If you want to play Doctor with Tiny, look us up on Discord.
Just so you know, we will all be fully clothed. And I have to also get this approved by my beautiful girlfriend. But hit us up on there. We've got a meme channel. We can talk about Malcolm. We're going to watch The Warriors of Virtue at some point. I said it was going to be at the end of this month, but that's not happening. But we'll do it one day. I'll give you a date at some point. We're on there live, uncut, uncensored, and irrevocably circumcised.
Oh my goodness. I can't follow that up.
You're doing great.
Austin. When life gives you grapes.
When life gives me grapes, I'm going to put them in a sound booth, and I'm going to squish them together, and I'm going to record what sound the grape squish makes. Then I'm going to take that sound and I'm going to upload it into your machine that you have in your hand, just so now it's the gradual squishing of grapes getting louder and higher pitched just the closer you get to the That's
Oh, my grapes!
Oh, it sounded like you digested my grapes.
Why have you done this?
I shit grapes.
Shred.
Oh, God.
Perfect.